the squad would set sail for Wales to secure Doreen Jr.'s inheritance. And of course, Hootle destroyed his ducal title a second time and just sort of continues to be a pain in the crown's side. Taking over in the middle of the invasion of Aquitaine, King Dobsonium had his work cut out for him from the start. Whilst one troop would head to the Aquitaine capital of Belloc, the rest would hunt down the enemy armies and keep the pressure on. Despite losing the opening fights of the war, summer of 947, the forces of Aquitaine would win a short-lived victory outside Belloc as the army was scattered. Unwilling to let that stand, the bulk of Dobsonium's forces gave chase, eventually catching up in the fields of Poitiers, and promptly losing yet again. By fall of the year, the full might of the squad army was in a scattered retreat back to HQ. Rather than risking another loss in a piecemeal battle, Dobsonium waited for the entire army to regather, and then began a winter's march back to the warfront. The armies would meet again, in a series of battles next to the river Loire that were resounding successes for the squad. Reinvigorated by their success, siege camps were erected around several castles at once to begin securing the region King Fodder II had intended. Finally, in March of 950, King Charles would cede the land to the squad. And what better way to celebrate a successful campaign than with a book about the FoddSquad dynasty? Not wanting to chance Hootle Jr. taking after his father, the new duchy was granted to Hootle's second son, Botolph. In 952, Dobsonium would face an internal rebellion from a minor count attempting to claim the heart of Squad HQ. To his astonishment, his cousins from the Waxu and Aussie branches were the ones backing the claimant. To help fight the rebellion, Princess Freya would be betrothed to an Irish earl. After rallying the troops and sending for the allies, in May, Dobsonium would lead his troops on a march against the wayward rebels. The first clash would happen at Bar-sur-Seine. The traitors had no idea what hit them as the might of the squad fell upon them. A few minor battles would happen over the next 2 years before the rebels finally laid down their arms and marched home in the spring of 954. The Aussie branch still going strong with the Duke, something, ruling in Brittany. The Waxu branch remains strong under the care of Duke Heminger. Despite only having daughters, the Poly branch is still ruling in Flanders through the grandson Oswald. To no one's surprise, House Hootle continues to make no sense. Hootle Jr. is holding the title granted to his younger brother Botolph, and no one is entirely sure how that happened, especially with Hootle Jr. sitting in jail. Doreen III continues to rule in Wales and manages to be one of the least troubling of Dobsonium's cousins and uncles. In 955, the Irish husband of Princess Freya would call for aid on his claim to a jarldom in Ireland. After his help in the rebellion, Dobsonium was honor-bound to join the fighting. Unfortunately, the fighting would be all but over by the time our troops would arrive. Things would remain quiet for several years as Dobsonium desperately searched for a male heir. The first true candidate to the spot would come as a grandson through Princess Stefania that named her son Gus. Keeping the military train rolling, in 960, attacks were mounted on individual Frankish counties as they broke off from their larger realms. Whilst fighting these, Queen Elaine would forever change the path of Gus by having a male son of her own, Prince Ray. These little invasions would frequently only be presented as footnotes in the history of either Dobsonium or Ray. Freya's husband would once again call on the squad, this time to assist his claim for the Kingdom of Ireland. After mopping up a few sieges, our ally was victorious. The squad would again invade Aquitaine in a war the historians would all go on to describe as trivial, forcing the surrender of another duchy in March of 964. After several years of calm and quiet, Dobsonium decided to stop raiding Normandy and finally conquer them. The opening battle would happen in Dreux in the spring of 971, where Doreen III truly set the tone for the battle. And merely a month later, the Norman Duke Grimmer was taken hostage and forced to capitulate. In 975, whilst dealing with a peasant revolt, the young Duke Gus would be killed during a siege. A year later, word would come from Doreen III that the Welsh territories had grown large enough to become a kingdom in their own right. To avoid fracturing the realm, Dobsonium made up his mind to fashion himself a king of kings. Step 1. Finish kicking the Franks out of Francia. With the help of the Jomsvikings and his Irish allies, this happened rather quickly with a decisive battle at Sancre. A small force would stay there to lay siege to the French castle, whilst the rest of the troops would hunt down the retreating French forces. Prince Ray would come of age in 976 and be betrothed to the daughter of a minor Polish noble. possible. A few short months later, Louis Caroline would surrender the French crown. Step 2 of Operation King of Kings would be taking another sizable swath of land from Aquitaine. At this point, the squad was so good at it that they made short work of the fighting and secured several counties around Barcelona in just 18 months. Prince Leo would be given dominion over these lands. Step 3 would be to deal with the upstart Frankish counts who'd cropped up in the middle of Squad HQ and bring them into the fold. Step 4 was to secure the last independent Welsh county. Step 5, invade Aquitaine. Again, the young King Charles VII would be captured in the first siege of the war and opted to cede land rather than be executed. Step 6, raid Burgundy for golden prisoners. And in 983, on a sunny day in May, Dobsonium crowned himself Emperor of FoddSquad HQ. Prince Leo would be upgraded to a ducal title in Barcelona. To ensure Durin III wouldn't fight Leo for it, and in reward for his stalwart support during the recent campaigns, the Kingdom of Wales was given to Durin to protect. And Dobsonium II would receive the crown of France upon his father's passing in 986. A stalwart warrior, a father willing to fight for his children's inheritance, Dobsonium's 40-year reign forever changed the face of Western Europe. Ray takes the throne at 25. Will he take the fledgling empire to new heights, or will he watch as it all falls apart around him? Find out next time.